As we talk about ways to reduce student debt, a new report suggests we need to pay closer attention to costs outside of tuition. Some $3 billion of student financial aid every year pays for course materials. While spending on books and materials is declining thanks to more options, textbook companies are entering agreements with hundreds of colleges that may lock students into paying more than they have to. The agreements automatically charge students for course materials as part of the tuition. In exchange, students get a discount around 20 to 25%. But U.S. PIRG found half of contracts don't fully disclose the discount structure. About a third had the potential for uncapped annual price increases. In more than 2/3, there were clear quotas. And if not enough students enrolled, well, discounts could just disappear.
And that just gives the publishers way more power in a market where they've already been ripping off students for decades.
While automatic textbook billing is optional, U.S. PIRG found almost half of these contracts give publishers control over what is said to students about these agreements. Students may not learn about it or realize they can opt out.
What we really need to do is break out of this broken textbook market and switch to free, openly licensed materials instead.
OpenStax publishes free textbooks online and low cost in print. More than half of all U.S. universities use them now. But before you buy any course materials, U.S. PIRG suggests asking the professor if you even need the code or book. Then see if book rental is an option. You can also look online for used or free materials, or check out Amazon and school Facebook pages, or even student government organizations. Well, as more baby boomers age, so do their eyes. 1 in 3 seniors will face significant problems with their eyesight, and more doctors are seeing that's linked to depression. Tomorrow on The Now, how one group helps seniors avoid depression and advice we can all use.
A couple more cold days are coming our way, including those mornings with starting numbers in the teens Friday and Saturday, but we warm up big time Sunday into Monday with highs in the 50s. Rain also returns early next week. Thanks for joining us here on The Now, Indy. The news at 6 starts right now.
My best guess is, knowing what we know about the spread of infectious illnesses like this, it'll be in Indiana, and it probably won't be too long before it is.
Working for you, the RTV6 team shows you what you really need to do to protect your health and the health of your loved ones as the coronavirus spreads.
Plus, we talk to an expert about the huge losses in the stock market, the financial advice you need to see. We are working to prepare you, not scare you.
The news at 6 starts right now.
This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
Good evening and welcome in. First at 6 o'clock here, as the coronavirus spreads, so does the fear of the unknown.
As the CDC predicts, the virus will eventually have a larger impact on the U.S. We are working to prepare you for that possibility.
We want to take the fear away and show you what's really happening and how to protect yourself.
We have team coverage tonight. Megan Sanctorum and Stephanie Wade are working to get answers to your questions. We begin with Megan, who is live downtown. Megan, you just spoke with state health leaders. What are they saying?
Well, they say at this point there have been no confirmed cases of the coronavirus here in Indiana. They said there's really no way to know if or when we will see it here in the state, though, so they have a plan in place and they're getting ready. It's a new strain that hasn't been seen before. Health officials calling it COVID-19. First identified in China, this virus has now made its way to the U.S. But state leaders say there's no need for the public to panic.
That's the one thing that I want to do above all else today is to help alleviate some of the anxiety and the fear associated with this.
Health leaders say this has not yet been declared a pandemic, rather a public health situation. They tell us they are in constant communication with the CDC, local health departments, and hospitals. And they say they're ready if the virus is found in Indiana.
I feel very confident. I mean, Indiana has already, and Pam was here during this time, handled the pandemic virus of H1N1 in 2009. We have been through the Ebola concerns. We have been through MERS and actually had a case in northern Indiana. We are very well supported for this.
Right now, they tell us 26 people in this state are being monitored for the virus. That's due to their travel history or contact with someone who has traveled to an impacted country.
And they are all being basically self-quarantining in their homes in different counties. And our county local health departments are engaged actively on talking to them on a daily basis, asking them if they've developed fever, cough, shortness of breath, any signs or symptoms.
And as of now, none of those 26 are sick. She said most cases of the coronavirus are mild, but it does have a mortality rate of 1%, which is higher than the flu. The elderly population and those with underlying health issues are most at risk. And as far as protecting yourself from this virus, health leaders say the best thing you can do is just practice good hygiene.
Our Megan Saintor. Megan, what are they saying for people who have upcoming travel plans, people who might be booking flights? Is there anything they need to know tonight?
Well, state health leaders say at this point there's no need to cancel or reschedule your plans. They say you should proceed as normal, but of course, if that changes, we will let you know.
Our Megan Saintorum following the latest developments with the coronavirus as it relates here to central Indiana. Thank you. Meantime, President Trump announced that Vice President and former Indiana Governor Mike Pence will be leading the government's fight against coronavirus. Today, Vice President Pence announced that U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Jerome Adams will be part of the coronavirus task force. Dr. Adams is the former health commissioner of Indiana.
And Indiana businesses are struggling to keep respirators in stock because of the coronavirus outbreak. The demand for face masks is increasing as people fight the virus worldwide. RTV6's Stephanie Wade talks with a local supply company about how this is impacting them.
Haggard & Stocking says they have 400 cases of respirators or face masks on back order. That comes out to about 3,200 of these boxes that their major nationwide clients are in desperate need of.
We knew something was going to happen. We just didn't know it was going to be as bad as it is now.
Through each epidemic.
This is probably one of the worst ones I've seen as far as, the demand.
Local industrial supply company Haggard & Stocking has been prepared, rationing their supplies that are used in hospitals, food processing facilities, and manufacturing.
We're getting phone calls for 1 million piece orders. I wish I could supply it, but I can't.
But now their stock is quickly running out.
There's a desperation in their voice when they call in.
And their ability to get more face masks is worsening.
A competitor of mine who had some theft in his warehouse where an employee was selling it on eBay.
Same with local retailers. Here at this CVS, it says they're temporarily unavailable due to high demand. Walmart and Kroger told us the same.
Some of the demand is actually people wanting to ship them back to China.
The company that makes face masks, 3M, sending distributors this letter alerting them to the shortage.
And at some point, we can only sell what we can get.
We sat down with a public health expert.
My best guess is, knowing what we know about the spread of infectious illnesses like this, it'll be in Indiana, and it probably won't be too long before it is.
Though roughly 2,800 people have died from the virus, she says if you have a healthy immune system, it'll just run its course, similar to a cold, having flu-like symptoms. President Trump even noting tens of thousands of people in the United States die every year from influenza. The coronavirus numbers are nowhere near that.
Flu shot and flu prevention strategies are probably more important for you than to be worrying about the coronavirus.
But for businesses, it's a real concern.
My hope is they find a cure for this fairly soon and that things can kind of go back to normal. I mean, it's scary.
Working for you, Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Today, the Dow Jones had its biggest one-day point decline in history, falling more than 1,100 points. It is the third major stock market plunge this week. It's on pace for its worst week since the fall of 2008. That was the middle of the financial crisis. Experts say fears about coronavirus have spurred this downturn on the New York Stock Exchange. Well, RTV6 is looking at the impact this could have on your 401k, and tonight there is some welcome news from financial experts. They say this doesn't really compare to the 2008 crisis, and a recession is not likely. We spoke with Bob Phillips of Spectrum Management Group here in Indy. His advice: do not move money from your 401k or investments. He says stocks typically take a tumble amid health scares, but they usually rebound within 6 months. As a matter of fact, he says eventually you could benefit from this dip.
We're going to have a rebound. I don't think this is going to be a straight downward move. This is an opportunity for people to be looking maybe at their buy list, look for stocks that they think are really good companies that have been beaten down in price, and prepare to buy in once things stabilize a bit.
Phillips says the dip in the stock market may feel bad right now, but he says we have at least a 10% correction like this once or twice a year, even without coronavirus fears. And the majority of those times, the market rebounded. Right now, we have a webpage dedicated to covering the coronavirus in an effort to make sure you always have answers to your questions. Just go to the indychannel.com/coronavirus.
Tonight, police are investigating a fatal shooting on Indianapolis's northwest side near Eagle Creek Reservoir. IMPD says someone was shot and killed in the 5000 block of Eagles Watch Drive near Dandy Trail and West 46th Street. Police have not released any information on a possible suspect or the name of the victim. We will bring you any updates on the RTV6 app and on the indychannel.com. New developments tonight, the state Senate taking steps that could put a stop to future transit expansion in Indianapolis. So what does that mean for Indigo's upcoming Blue and Purple Line projects? RTV6's Cameron Riddle joins us live outside of the State House. Cameron, what does tonight's vote mean for us?
Well, Amanda, good evening. It means that Indianapolis's path to expanded mass transit may be getting a bit bumpier after this new amendment enforcing restrictions passed in the state Senate today. An amendment to House Bill 1279 would create a 10% penalty in state funding if Indigo doesn't raise at least 10% of the funding for its public transportation projects from private dollars. This means 10% of the funding for a project such as the Blue Line or Purple Line must come from somewhere other than taxes or fares in order to get its full state funding. That requirement is already an Indiana law, but former Indianapolis City County Councilor and now Republican State Senator Aaron Freeman says that law is not being followed. This is the second time this week the State House has passed an amendment that would add hurdles to projects already approved by the city of Indianapolis. Democrat Senator Greg Taylor says this is another example of state lawmakers being part of the problems rather than the solutions in Indianapolis. While across the hall, Republican Senator Rod Bray says this is the State House doing its job and keeping an eye on the state's largest city.
We're going through a very trying time in the city of Indianapolis. Violent crime is up, people are getting killed, and we're over here trying to provide transit for people to go to work. And we got people who want to stop it.
With regard to the pretty lengthy conversation we had here today, it's not really trying to overtake or even kill or cancel the mass transit project that Indianapolis is working on. But the legislation was pretty clear when it was done back in 2015, I believe it was, that they had to use 10% private money, and they simply did not do it. This is trying to say, no, we meant that, and let's do it.
Well, that amendment passed easily, 35-12, thanks to the Republican supermajority in the state Senate. We're live at the State House tonight. I'm Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
Cameron, thank you. Lawmakers are taking measures to prevent teachers from being injured on the job. It's a problem Call 6 Investigates told you about last week in our Classrooms in Chaos investigation. And now our Kara Kenny is taking teacher and parent safety concerns directly to state lawmakers.
Our Call 6 investigation found hundreds of Indiana teachers injured on the job by their own students. We took our findings here to the State House to find out what state lawmakers have to say about it.
Hannah Moody was a teacher in Elwood, but she left the profession after losing 80% of the hearing in her right ear.
So you lost almost all of the hearing in this ear?
Yeah. Yeah, and I was dizzy for a long time, like my equilibrium was off, which is strange.
The injury happened during a second grader's outburst. She says she didn't get training at her school, nor did she learn about preventing injuries when she was in college.
That's just something they don't even really teach you in college, you know.
Our Call 6 investigation surveyed 24 school districts and found incident after incident of teachers injured on the job by their own students. We took our findings to state lawmakers, including one who is a teacher.
What was your reaction or your response to our investigation?
So I watched that story twice. Actually, I'm not surprised. I feel like this is happening all over, and I'm in my 32nd year of teaching, and so I've seen many of these issues ramp up repeatedly over the last, especially 5 or 6 years.
Representative Melanie Wright says she's never been injured, thankfully, but says Indiana needs to invest more money in school social workers and counselors and reduce its emphasis on test scores.
So instead of having that playtime and that social skills development time that we usually see in kindergarten and part of first grade, that's kind of being pushed out or pushed down to pre-K if kids are lucky enough to go.
Representative Dale Devon filed House Bill 1283. It urges colleges and universities to include trauma-informed training for future teachers.
So when a child has a meltdown or an outburst, the teacher can recognize a child that's dealing with trauma in their life and try to get them and help them manage that child a little bit better, that they're not just throwing them out in the street, so to speak, or to the principal's office.
Students today are dealing with poverty, drug use, and domestic violence in the home.
And when these kids come to school with those issues, they're really not in the mindset of learning.
Do you think this bill would help reduce teacher injuries?
I think it would help teacher injuries. I think it would help teachers' success rate. I think it will keep our teachers in the classroom much longer and help them succeed.
The Indiana State Teachers Association supports the legislation. Creating a safe and supportive learning environment for all kids builds resilience in students who experience trauma. Public schools play an integral role in neutralizing the negative impact trauma has on kids' health and their ability to learn. Representative Devon says the hope is to eventually train all Indiana teachers, but he says this bill is a good first step. Hannah Moody supports lawmaker efforts to train teachers on student trauma.
I feel like this is acknowledging that it's a problem. You know, obviously I can't have my hearing back, but I'm going to make the best of the situation and hopefully get back into teaching in a different form.
Reporting from the State House, Call 6 Investigates, Kara Kenny.
Well, we also reached out to Senator Mike Gaskill. Hannah Moody is one of his constituents. He told us, quote, "My heart goes out to Ms. Moody and other teachers who have been injured by students. I'm also very sensitive to the requests of teachers, superintendents, and school board members who have requested that the legislature decrease the number of new mandates that we place on public education. I think your reporting will raise awareness of this problem, and I hope local school districts will take measures to address the problem," end quote.
It's cold, and just to prove it, we've got snow showers across central Indiana. They're going nowhere over the next 24 hours. We'll live with that, and then the big changes that appear starting Sunday.
Hey, first, Brad Brown, we're live tonight. Matthew Arena is the place to be. Another edition of IU and Purdue, and the student section already packed, ready to go tonight.
This is the least loud it will be here tonight. They're set to get all fired up for the rematch here. We'll have full coverage of it for you coming up in sports.
Promotion for just $259 a month.
And welcome back to 6 News. I know many of you would like to see a blue sky versus blue on the radar, which represents snow showers and flurries, but that's what we have. These will begin to fade away a bit as we get past sunset, so any time, and then I think they'll flare up again tomorrow afternoon. These are all sliding basically from west to east, maybe a little southeast. It will limit visibility, and you could get a quick cover in spots, but the visibility is the main issue as you drive into one of these. Just be careful in the next 24 hours. 28 Marion, 28 also in Logansport in Cass County. Temperatures to the south made it above freezing, still sitting nicely at 37 in Bedford, mid-30s Bloomington and Columbus. Where are we headed this evening? 7 to 9. The push to the south will occur with these snow showers and flurries by 1 o'clock in the morning, starting to focus down closer to the Ohio River, south of a Bedford to Seymour line, and those will leave the state for a while but return tomorrow afternoon. It's cold now. No surprise it'll be cold in the morning. Temperatures down into the teens. We'll start at 18 in Indy. By the time we get to noon, 28. We struggle all day long to get temperatures warming up much. 31, the anticipated high temperature in Indianapolis. More sunshine in the morning, just like we had blue sky this morning, but then it's self-destruct sunshine that helps create the clouds and the snow showers that develop in the afternoon, especially in the southern half of the state. Those fade away then tomorrow night. Step into the weekend. Quite a weekend. 17 during the morning hours Saturday, and then by the time we get to Sunday, temperature jumps to 57. A dry weekend, lots of sunshine during the day on Saturday. Sunday, the clouds will increase, but so does the temperature. We jump all the way to 57. Temperatures are still in the 50s Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but our rain chances also climb during that time period. Heavy rain potential, especially in the southern half of the state, something we'll keep our eye on next week. Something to keep our eye on tonight. West Lafayette, Brad and Dave are there now.
Yeah, no question, Kevin, it is the place to be tonight, as it is the 211th meeting all time between the two. I counted. Yeah, 211. Brad, Dave first. I tell you what, here's the situation, though. Both teams are thinking postseason. March is going to be here come Sunday. IU lost by 12. Purdue hammered them 2.5 weeks ago, but ever since then, it's been a tale of two different teams. IU's looks much better since then.
Purdue's lost 4 straight all season. They lost 4 games here at Mackey. This place used to be a fortress. The last 4 years combined, they only lost 4 games here. We'll see if IU can break through. They haven't won here in 7 years.
One of the differences for IU has been Trace Jackson Davis. Over the last 5 games, he's averaged 16 points and 9 rebounds. He's having a much different, you could argue, better freshman season than some guy named Romeo Langford had a year ago.
I think Trace has probably dealt with 1/10 of what Romeo had to deal with throughout the course of the season. Trace's impact on our team and Trace's play has been second to none. Trace is a different type of a kid. He's a different type of a player coming in. Although McDonald's All-American and although Indiana Mr. Basketball, it wasn't the savior of the universe that was coming to help us.
Take a look at the bottom half of the Big Ten standings, and Trace Jackson Davis has put IU very much into the NCAA mix. We'll see what happens, though. Just a couple games remaining now this season. He's having a good season. Isaiah Thompson is having a much improved season for Purdue. Oh, by the way, he's got his brother on board, too.
Yeah, there's 2 Thompsons in the mix here at Purdue this season. A couple of brothers who have grew up their entire life around basketball, continuing that relationship in a unique way here this season at Purdue.
Isaiah Thompson is already making an impact during his freshman season at Purdue, and he doesn't have to look far to find a familiar face in the team huddle.
I always go to him if I need anything, and he's been a huge help and an influence on my life, so I'm definitely glad he's here.
P.J. Thompson was a 4-year starter at Purdue, a Big Ten champion his junior year, one of the best playmakers in program history. And now he's a graduate assistant on Matt Painter's staff.
Even when I was a player, I wanted to make my teammates better naturally, and I was a natural team guy first. So when you transition to, a coach, that's what you want to do. You want to make your players better, and you want to make Purdue, the program, better. He's done it for 4 years. I've seen it. I've watched it. Just how he plays, how he carries himself. He helps out a lot, not only with me, but with everybody else.
After Purdue, PJ played a year professionally overseas in the Danish League, but a chance to start his coaching career early was just too good to pass up.
To have someone like that's played a year professionally, that played 4 years here, that can really do a good job of transferring that direction from the coaching staff to understand, hey, these guys are for you. These guys are trying to help you. Don't fight what they're saying.
I was really competitive, as a player, so it's kind of hard because, as a coach, and you can only do so much. You can't be out there. You can't, make shots for guys. You can't be out there and guard guys.
Now there's the interesting dynamic of having your brother as your coach or having your brother as a player. It depends on your perspective.
When I first got here, I'm like, dang, he's really my coach. It's a little weird, but I've gotten used to it, and I've adjusted pretty quickly. And like I said, he's really helped a lot. I'm proud of him. Obviously, I know he's going to get a lot better with the coaching staff we have here and his work ethic. So I'm excited.
Really cool to see those guys here together. One other note tonight, Purdue favored by 6 here at home.
Complete coverage tonight at 11 until then. The news at 6 continues.
In my life.
Call Clear Choice today.
Snow showers, they'll continue to drift to the south as we go through the evening hours. During the day tomorrow, temperatures start in the teens. We warm only into the lower 30s from there.
Grab your jacket.
Grab your jacket.
Get it ready.
Yeah, the jacket, baby.
The jacket. Look at that. All right, how many years?
I think I first put this on in 1984.
All right, then.
Do the math.
See you back here at 7.